The Church of the Discovery of the True Cross in Liberec is a Roman Catholic filial church, an outstanding Baroque monument and a pilgrimage centre. It is protected as a heritage site. The church stands on the site of the original Baroque cemetery church, built between 1695 and 1698 by an Italian-born Prague architect, Marc Antonio Cannavale. In August 1680, a plague epidemic broke out in Liberec, causing 300 deaths. The town cemetery of St. Anthony's Church was soon too small for such a large number of dead, so a new burial ground was established, and a small church was built next to it in 1696. The builder charged with the construction, the above-mentioned M.A. Cannavale, of Italian origin, opted for a cross-shaped ground plan for symbolical reasons, as the church was dedicated to the True Cross. Between 1753 and 1756, extensive reconstruction of the church was carried out under the direction of another builder, J.J. Kunz. It looks like the church of Heinitze and is one of the most precious Baroque constructions in Liberec. The church serves as a pilgrimage centre. On the main altar there is the wooden statue of Our Lady of Sorrows, whose history is very interesting. This wooden Pieta shows the Virgin Mary sitting below the cross, holding the body of Christ in her arms. It is 65 centimetres high and carved from cedar wood. On the Virgin's breast there is a depiction of 3 ears of rye pierced by a sword, the symbol of suffering. The statue was originally made in 1506 for a church in London. During the reign of King Henry VIII of England, when church decorations were being removed, the statue is said to have been thrown into the Thames in 1538. Later, it was fished out by a merchant who hid it in his house. In 1658, a young count, Franz Ferdinand of Galles, acquired the statue and placed it in the chapel of his castle in Friedland. From there it was moved to the church of Heinitze, and after the completion of the new church of the True Cross, to Liberec. The popularity of the statue of Pieta was so great that the number of pilgrims continued growing. In 1752, as many as 10,021 pilgrims took Holy Communion there. After the reconstruction of the church between 1753 and 1756, their number increased even more, and the church received numerous indulgences. Pious pilgrims began to place many votive offerings in the church in return for the answer to their prayers. However, according to a decree issued by Emperor Joseph II, pilgrimages were first restricted and eventually completely banned. The last great pilgrimage was held there in 1781. Later, the church became a filial church and was used mainly for weddings and funerals. After 1808, the ban on pilgrimages was gradually removed, but their popularity never reached the same level as in the past. It is no coincidence that the first public library in Liberec was established in the Church of the True Cross in 1759. The credit for establishing the library belongs to Anton Kopsch, who also financed the rich decoration of the church. The library boasts outstanding works of art, which have been preserved there to this day, the most precious of which being the aforementioned statue of the Mother of God. The church itself is certainly a masterpiece, but other precious historical monuments can also be found in its immediate surroundings. In the church garden, there is a memorial plague column from the workshop of the famous sculptor M.B. Brown, built as a token of thanks for saving the town from the plague in 1680. The plague column had originally stood in today's Sokolovskaya Square until it was moved to the Church of the Discovery of the True Cross during its reconstruction. The column is decorated with statues of saints of St. John of Nepomuk, St. Florian, St. Sebastian, St. Roch, and the Virgin Mary. The monument was repaired in 2018 by a restorer called Radomil Scholz. There is a series of paintings by J. Furich, a native of nearby Krastava, that depict the way of the cross surrounding the column. The exposition dates back to 1760 and consists of 14 niche chapels with images originally painted on wood. During the reconstruction of the area surrounding the church, almost 100 years later, the paintings on wood were replaced with paintings on metal plates. However, these were soon damaged, which is why they were replaced by paintings on a copper base. On the 8th of September 1888, the Way of the Cross was consecrated. In 1982, the damaged paintings were restored by Peter Hartig. In the corner of the garden there is a chapel of the Holy Sepulchre dating from 1772, which is a copy of the chapel that stands in the centre of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. For years, the chapel had been in a complete state of disrepair until it was finally completely rebuilt in 2020 and now shines with newness from afar.